Hello everyone, I'm Rihanna Lily Smith from Technology Networks, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Matilda Brindle from University College London to discuss their latest study published in the Proceedings of the Royal Society B, investigating the mystery of the evolution of masturbation. So thank you for coming on here today, Dr. Brindle. First of all, what led you
Right.
to undertake this area of research, and how did previous research impact your study?
Good question. So I found this study or this area of research to be really exciting because nobody's really looked at it too much before. So there have been a few studies that have mentioned masturbation in other animals, but nobody's particularly looked at why it might have evolved, and it seems to be quite a costly trait. So we wanted to understand why evolution would have retained this trait when actually, it takes up lots of time, it takes up energy, it distracts individuals. So that's kind of the main reason we did this. And as I said, there's not really a huge amount that's been looked at in this area before. So there were a few studies that we used in our own research, but not a huge amount out there.
Okay, so can you please tell me about the key methods that you used and why?
Yeah, so we basically, or I spent most of my PhD collecting everything that has ever been published that had any passing mention of masturbation in the primate order. So, as I said, there's not a huge amount of research that's directly looked at masturbation, but there are lots of papers where they might say, I don't know, be looking at mating behavior, and then they said, oh, and this male masturbated afterwards, or something like that. So we collected all of those data, and used something called Bayesian phylogenetic methods, which is essentially a way of reconstructing the process of evolution. So if you know how lots of different species are related to one another, which we do with the primates, fortunately, and you have data on living species, then you can kind of infer the behaviors or other traits that their ancestors might have had, and that's the sort of method that we use in this analysis.
Okay, so with doing all of that, what were your key findings and was there anything that particularly surprised you at all?
Yeah, I was surprised by the findings of our research. So, firstly, we found that masturbation is an ancient trait within the primate order. So it goes back, we think, to at least 40 million years ago with the ancestor of all apes and African and Eurasian monkeys. So we know that masturbation's been happening for a long time in the group of animals that we belong to. We also found that in male, but not in female primates, masturbation seems to be it seems to have co-evolved with a high degree of male-male competition for females for copulation, and also with a high sexually transmitted pathogen load. So those primates that tended to have a higher amount of STIs tended to masturbate more.
Okay, so what does your research inform us about the evolutionary benefits of masturbation?
So I think really it's really important to understand that masturbation is this ancient trait within the primate order, but actually loads of animals masturbate, so it's not this kind of unnatural thing that humans do. And in terms of the evolutionary benefits, we know that actually it could be of benefit to males in outcompeting other males for uh, to enable them to fertilize females, but it can also help them health wise because it can reduce the chance that they contract this sexually transmitted disease. So that's the answer for males. Females, as always, are a little bit more complicated. We did look at females just as much as we looked at males, but because of basically historical biases in the biological sciences where scientists tend to be more interested in males, there were far fewer data points for females. And so we didn't have enough statistical power essentially to find a definitive result for females.
So what's next for your research team? Do you have any further studies planned?
Definitely. So we have this kind of huge database of masturbation across the primate order, and we want to look into that a little bit more. Perhaps look at some more descriptive aspects of that. So here in this study, we looked at whether masturbation occurred or whether it didn't. We might want to look at kind of the forms that masturbation takes and that sort of thing. But also, I'd really love to expand this out to other groups. Primates aren't the only group of animals that masturbate. Loads of animals do. I just have expertise in primates, and that's why we started there. But it would be great if we could expand that out to other groups of animals.
Really interesting. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks so much.
Make sure you never miss a story. Subscribe to Breaking Science News, the daily newsletter by Technology Networks. Bye for now.